Greetings everyone! If you watched the introduction video, you may already have a rough idea of what's going to come up in this one. If this is your first time watching, let me do a quick summary. I go by the alias of Kaiser, otherwise known as Kaiser Sensei or KZR for short. Over the years I've been involved in a few game development projects and other related stuff. When I started out in 2011 as a mere volunteer sound effect designer for the OpenSearch game and engine, I didn't really know the journey I was about to start. I quickly became notorious in the community for bending an open source game engine completely out of its original purpose, which was to make Sonic fan games. And so I built my first custom levels, but my previous experience in modding games got me going further, and so SHINOBI DENSETSU was born. And also the first team. We worked hard for about a year and released an unpolished buggy mess that still managed to get a lot of attention. People dug the concept, but we were ultimately limited by the engine, so I made the bold decision to rebuild the game. Again and again and again. Despite all the experience acquired, I never truly felt so much at home as in the OpenSearch community. I gave it a few more shots, but it wasn't my thing anymore. During my absence, the engine had made significant changes, and for all it's worth, it's a very solid multi-platform game engine. But its newfound complexity was daunting for dinosaurs like me. After trying my hand at Construct 2, I was convinced it would serve me well. Man, I had no idea. Due to my meager programming background, I had the feeling I was coding in 10 bugs for a single half-baked feature and grew tired of this. Things like reading inputs, the player movement, the combat system, they all had to be dumped from the ground up, and this was costing so much time that I had to let it go. In 2018, I finally gave in to OpenBore. As the dinosaurs in the audience probably know, OpenBore and Mugen are two household names for fan-made fighting games, but that's at face value. Underneath OpenBore hides a very robust multi-purpose game engine, which happens to be tailored for street brawlers, platformers, and side-scrollers in general. Calling it a fan game maker would be a big understatement. The first steps were very well received, and later that year I stopped updating because I had stopped development once more. Apart from the difficulties I had working alone with a new engine, let's just say life hasn't been very friendly to me, and I was stuck in a hamster wheel for about 6 years. Until a community member asked what happened to the project. Then I realized that I just left without a word, never really asked for help or any relevant questions. After stating my discontent, the developers made an example of my case and started pumping out update after update, not only for the engine, but also for the unified editor tool. And suddenly, everything started to fall into place. The new tools motivated me to keep doing what I do best, pumping assets into the game. After taking my time studying the quirks of level design, I had to settle for a design philosophy, which I did. Hub zones are big 2.5D maps that connect to other hubs in sub-areas. These are especially tricky to pull off and require the most amount of time in detail. To save time, I start with a pre-rendered 3D terrain and paint tiles over it. I won't lie to you and say I did all the tiles myself. In fact, I lift a lot of material from open game art, and the authors get their due credit, even if I end up changing the graphics beyond recognition. Less DCC licenses. This is a preview of the first area to be featured in the demo. Now you can see which connections this area has. Now let's take the mines as an example. The mines are a mission area, or a dungeon if you prefer. These areas are going to be 2D platform levels with all the gameplay mechanics intact, except the depth axis is locked to a single plane. This means you cannot move in and out, only left, right, up and down. So far so good, right? Nah, not really. As I said before, I'm an assets guy, so I tend to hit major roadblocks when it comes to implementing stuff, and this hinders my progress greatly. If you have any experience with OpenBore and would like to contribute to this project, you may use the email in the About section to contact me. I will keep posting more videos about the game, namely what it has to offer, how it stands out from the rest, and why 13 years of trial and error isn't necessarily a bad thing. Stay tuned to the channel and consider subscribing. Let me know of any feedback you may have in the comments, and until next time, be a legend.